That is C4 explosive, a plastic explosive with a texture similar to clay, so you can shape it in almost any way you want. Although it has 1.4 times the destructive power of dynamite, it is highly stable and will not explode without a detonating device, even if it is shot, burned, or beaten. You are using a wireless detonator. The detonator is equipped with a scrambler, so you don't have to worry about interference from any other radio source. Make sure you are sufficiently far enough away when it goes off. Also, as you know, the sound of the explosive will alert your enemies, so be careful. The enormous costs for the development of At the end of the Cold War, the old conflict patterns collapsed and tension and controls were relieved, leading to an overflow of weapons, their technology, and their parts. No longer is economic power the equivalent of military power. Now even economically weak countries can acquire military strength. Those are claymore mines. Unlike other mines, which are planted underground, claymores are set up above ground and are designed to produce maximum damage in a wide fan-shaped area. When they go off, they spray 700 1.2mm steel pellets in a 60-degree pattern, much like an oversized shotgun. Typically, claymores are set off by a tripwire. However, these are equipped with sensors that detonate the mine when an enemy is close. According to the military doctrine, which is the basis for NATO expansion, a preemptive nuclear strike may be undertaken if there is a sufficient threat of a regional conflict spreading to a large-scale war. In the face of all this NATO expansion, Russia might feel the need to flex their nuclear muscles, if only to show NATO that, even with their aging arsenal and diminished army, they are still a major power. Those are remote-controlled miniature reconnaissance missiles, sometimes called Nikita missiles. They've got CCD cameras in their nose cones. After you fire them, they'll transmit their visual data to your monitor. You can control their flight freely in all directions. But the missiles have a limited amount of fuel. Watch the gauge carefully. I see you found grenades, anti-personnel hand grenades. They produce a burst of shrapnel on detonation. Explosive power is provided by Composition B, consisting of a mixture of 40% TNT and 60% RDX. Needless to say, you do not want to stand too close when one detonates. Russia could no longer pay enough money to its leading scientists, so they sold their weapons and weapons technology to the highest bidders. The result was that starting with nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons, Russian-made weaponry flowed to developing countries and terrorist organizations. The world's military balance was thrown into disarray. The world has never seen the balance of power shift so quickly and dramatically. That is a chaff grenade. It is a special grenade that disperses thin, narrow metallic strips of various lengths and frequency responses. It can confuse electronic equipment. It will be useful against machines which depend upon electronic sensors. Naturally, for it to be effective, you must use it before you are attacked. If you are expecting an attack, spread the chaff beforehand. Those are stun grenades. They are often used in sensitive operations such as freeing hostages and that sort of thing. Sometimes they are called flashbangs or sound and flash grenades. They make a big flash and lots of noise which will temporarily disorient and disable your opponents. They will not cause fatal injury, but they can make enemy soldiers unconscious. Use them wisely. That is a FAMAS. It is a bullpup-style assault rifle. It is durable and easy to use. Very resistant to overheating, it is a reliable weapon with smooth action. It can fire up to 1,000 rounds per minute. On full auto, you will empty a 25-round magazine in a few seconds.
Otacon said that now it's possible to design and test new types of nuclear weapons in a virtual simulation without ever exploding a nuclear device. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. Since the establishment of DART, the Dual Axis Radiographic Hydrodynamic Test Facility, and NIF, the National Ignition Facility, early in the 21st century, there's been a wealth of data concerning nuclear fission and fusion. There is also much data accumulated from the nuclear tests conducted over the last 4 decades. With the processing speed of today's supercomputers, they can design a new nuclear weapon through virtual reality computer simulations. The gun you are carrying now is one of the best sniper rifles in the world. It is accurate enough to shoot cleanly through a 2.5 centimeters square from a distance of 100 meters. Unlike other sniper rifles, that rifle is not bolt action. It is semi-automatic. Its best feature is that it allows for rapid fire. When you're shooting over long distances, the slightest tremble can make you miss your target by inches. Try to keep your hands as still as possible. In order to collect data for the simulation experiments, they're doing subcritical tests underground. Those are experiments in which they detonate high explosives in proximity to plutonium without setting off a critical chain reaction. They then measure the effect that the shock wave has on the plutonium. By measuring the particles which fly off the surface of the plutonium, they can learn the mass, speed, and distribution of the plutonium particles. The politicians insist that, whether it is above ground or below ground, a nuclear test which does not cause a nuclear explosion is not a nuclear test, and therefore does not violate the CTBT. A lot of people do not agree with that interpretation. Good. You found a SOCOM. That's a Special Operations Command pistol. It's a .45 caliber pistol with plenty of stopping power. It's also equipped with a LAM for nighttime combat. If you find a SOCOM suppressor, you can equip that too. That pistol was designed specifically for use by Special Forces, so I think it will be useful. Some people find it a little heavy and hard to use, but it shouldn't be a problem for you.